I've coached hundreds of career-driven people, business owners, and busy parents through fat loss, and honestly, the same 6 mistakes come up again and again. These aren't always obvious to people. Sometimes they're things that you think you're doing right, but actually they're working against you. One of my clients, who's going to remain unnamed, let's call him James, 41, 2 kids, full-time job. He messaged me about a year into working together and said he genuinely felt like he'd tried everything before joining our program. The approach was similar to what he's done before, but nothing ever landed like what it's doing now. So we went back through what he'd actually tried on his own before, and every single mistake that I'm about to speak about in this video was in there. So today I'm going to walk you through all 6 of those mistakes using actually what happened with him, so you can skip straight past the mistakes and start implementing the good stuff for yourself. Before we go any further, our 6-week reset starts on Monday the 7th of September. If you feel like you need a plan to follow and a coach in your corner every week keeping you on track, click the link to join the waitlist. Anyone on the waitlist gets an exclusive discount too. So here we go. Mistake number 1. When James first tried to sort his diet out by himself, he did what everyone does. Eat less and move more. That's the advice that you hear everywhere. So he thought, okay, if I need to eat less, let's just cut a load of food out and lose this weight as fast as I can. We worked out that he went from eating 2,800 calories a day down to 1,600 pretty much overnight. And yeah, the first 2 weeks, the scale moved and he felt great. By week 3 though, he was telling me he was absolutely starving all the time, low energy, completely exhausted by 3 p.m. and then snapping at his kids over nothing. And when we actually looked back at his weight loss over that period, he'd lost weight for sure, but a good chunk of it wasn't just fat, it was muscle. So he looked smaller and not in the places that he wanted to. Here's the thing though, there is a sweet spot for how much you cut. If you cut too much, you don't give your body the energy it needs in order to maintain activity levels. But if you cut too little, then you're just going to maintain what you've got. For James, anything more than 500 calorie deficit felt brutal, but 400 to 500 calories under his maintenance, that was a sweet spot. He could still eat proper meals, he wasn't starving, he wasn't running on empty by mid-afternoon. So have a think about that for yourself. If your goal is fat loss, don't smash your calories down in one go. Cut them by about 500 calories under your maintenance, give it a week or 2, see how you feel. If you need help working out your calories, head over to Instagram, message me on Alex__Sparks, and I'll help you work out your calories for you. Mistake number 2 links straight into that, because James also thought, right, if I'm losing weight now, I need to eat ultra clean. So he started introducing salads he didn't enjoy, meal prep he dreaded opening at his desk, 0 takeaways, even on a Friday with his kids, which he'd always enjoyed. And for 2 of the 3 weeks, yet again, he was seeing decent progress on paper, but he wasn't enjoying any of it. He told me he got to a point where he nearly gave up entirely because the process itself had just become miserable. This is genuinely one of the biggest things I coach around, because it's not overcomplicated once you see it properly. If you know your numbers, you're tracking it, you know what you've eaten, and you know what you've got left, you can absolutely still get a takeaway on a Friday night. You can still go out for a few drinks on a Saturday night. You just have to bank the calories for it earlier in the day or across the week. Now, once someone gets properly lean, this is more for people that are taking it really, really seriously, maybe like physique competitors and people like that. Those treats do become more punishing and you might need to pull back a little bit further. But for the vast, vast majority of people trying to lose weight and just keep their life intact, you don't need to give up anything. You just need to plan for it. Don't make James's mistake. Don't strip out everything that you enjoy. It's only going to end in resenting the process and then just giving up completely. There is room for balance, which means controlling your calories, eating clean, and having food you enjoy at times as well. Mistake number 3, and it's connected again to eat less, move more. James figured if he needed to move more, that meant hammering the treadmill. So he added loads of cardio on top of the calorie cut. 5-6 sessions a week of straight sweating it out, pounding the treadmill. I've been in gyms and seen this a lot. So I really resonated when he told me this is what he did. The result was even more exhaustion, bored of exercising because the amount of time on a treadmill is mind numbing. He also lost any muscle because he didn't lift any weights. This is when people become skinny fat, which is not great, especially if you're looking to tone up. You need to lift weights. What I got him to understand is that moving more doesn't mean smashing yourself on a cardio machine. It just means keeping yourself a bit more active day to day. Your calorie deficit is doing the heavy lifting on fat loss. You don't need to stress your nervous system out on top of that. You just need to keep moving and keep the habit going. Hopefully that makes sense. The diet does the work, the activity supports it. It's not the other way around. Okay, the next mistake follows right alongside mistake number 3, and I've already kind of touched on it, because he was doing loads of cardio but barely touching any weights. Most people think cardio is your fat loss tool and weights are your build muscle tool, which is kind of true, but weight training actually affects fat loss a lot more than you think. Here's the real reason why. When you build muscle, you permanently bump up your metabolism. Your body burns more through just existing. The more muscle it's carrying, the more your metabolism fires up. If all you're doing is cardio, yeah, you're burning calories in that session, but you're not investing anything past that session. Once it's done, it's done. Weight training does both. You burn calories doing the workout, and you're building something long after the session's finished because your body burns calories through recovery and things like that. More muscle means you can eat more, stay more active, and it makes everything easier down the line as you get older as well. So if you're prioritizing anything, prioritize weight training first, then supplement with a bit of cardio. Even just like 10 to 15 minutes after a weight training session, getting some extra steps in or getting on a cross trainer, not the other way around. Now, mistake number 5 is a bit more nuanced, but it mattered for James because before he started to lose fat, he'd been a bit of a eat whatever I want, lift heavy in the gym type of person. And when he moved into fat loss, he kept the exact same training mentality. He was just smashing every session, trying to chase PBs, going as hard as he could. The problem is he didn't have the food or the energy in his system to recover from that training anymore. And within a few weeks, he'd picked up a niggly shoulder injury, some lower back tightness that just wouldn't shift. So now on top of managing his deficit and his diet, he's also managing an injury. That's more on your plate that you don't need to handle, making the whole thing so much harder than it needs to be. So have a think about this one for yourself. If you're trying to lose weight right now, you still need to train with intent. Don't just go through the motions, but you also don't need to chase PBs every single session and work yourself into the ground. Focus on working your muscles that you're targeting when you train. Add some intensity in there, of course, but focus on that mind-muscle connection. Just remember that your diet's doing most of the work. Training in a deficit is there to hold on to the muscles that you've built and also hopefully build a little bit more muscle while you're there as well. And the biggest mistake that I see so often, even with clients that are months or even years into training with us, is losing sight of the reason why. Most of the time when someone falls off, it's not that the plan has stopped working, it's that they lost the actual reason why they started. I had this with another client, they'd lost over 30 kilos and was absolutely flying, and then they plateaued. Their motivation just kind of started to fade. So sticking to the plan and avoiding junk food and all of that kind of stuff they did before just felt way harder to justify. And when we sat down and talked it through, they turned out they'd kind of genuinely just lost touch with why they were doing it in the first place. It had become more about the number on the scale and not about the actual end goal that they were aiming for, which was a way bigger why than the number on the scale. So we peeled back the layers on the onion a little bit, went back to the real reason why, not just lose weight, but what does the weight loss actually mean for them? Once they got that in their mind and that was back in the picture, the motivation came straight back with it. So those are the 6 mistakes that I see come up again and again with our clients and people that I coach. And if you want this whole process to feel a lot less overcomplicated than it needs to, that is genuinely where I'd start. Have a think about which of these you might need to start doing differently right now. If you want to, drop it in the comments below because I'm so interested to know which one you resonated with the most. Please like and subscribe, and if you want to learn the 3 stages to lose body fat forever, then watch this video next.